Hi and welcome back. In this lecture I'd like to talk about this fingerprint scanner so you can add biometrics to your projects. I've tried a few different models of fingerprint scanners, but I ran into problems with pretty much all of them except for this one. Problems like getting them to speak to my Arduino was one issue. Reliably recording and then recognizing fingerprints, which is the main function of this device, of course, was another problem. And finally I found this one on eBay. It's also sold by Adafruit, and in combination with Adafruit's really nice library, this device seems to be very reliable, so I would happily use it in my projects. So in this video I'd like to first talk a little bit about this device's specifications. Then in the second part I'm going to show you how to connect it to your Arduino and enroll fingerprints, and then recognize fingerprints. And then in the third part I'll show you how to connect the scanner to a electrical door latch so that you can simulate a situation of you using a fingerprint scanner to secure a room in your house through a door that will only open if the device recognizes a valid fingerprint. So let's get started with the basics. What is inside this device? Well, inside this device you actually have a full RISC CPU, a 32-bit CPU that does signal processing. So there's a visual sensor here. It takes a picture of your fingerprint. In the signal processor will analyze the fingerprint, turn it into what's called a template, and then do some calculations to figure out how well the template from the fingerprint that it just read matches a template in the memory of the device. As far as the interface is concerned, it is a serial interface, so a TTL serial. There's a variety of baud rates for communication with serial devices, including the Arduino. You can connect it to anything else, of course, that can read serial, like Raspberry Pis and so on. It can work on a range of voltages, so the 5 volts of the Arduino Uno is just right. Anything else interesting? So it's pretty fast, so it can take a picture of a fingerprint in less than a second. It's got their internal memory. It can store up to 162 templates. It gives as an output a rating of how confident it is of a positive reading of a fingerprint. So if your application is of a high security type, then you could require that fingerprint readings are accurate, say at the 90% level, before you allow access into a secure area like my lab, for example. What else is interesting? It's fairly small as well and light, 20 grams. Now the hardware inside is very sophisticated. Wouldn't have much hope of trying to interface to it directly. So luckily for us, Adafruit has created a really nice library, and here's a location for it. So just go back to the root of the library on GitHub and have a look at the header file. And in the header file you can see that communication between the device and the Arduino happens via software serials, so we can configure the pins that we use for that. There's a bunch of definitions here. We don't really need to worry about them. And just a small number of methods that are used by the sketches that I'll show you in a minute. So for example, you can see there's a method here just simply called getImage, and that method just simply takes an image of your finger when you put your finger against the front window. Now there's another one called image to TZ, and that method converts the image to the template format that the device understands. There's also another interesting one called finger fast search, and this method does exactly what you think it does. It searches through the internal database for a match of the finger template that we just created. So basically you need just these three methods to create your own security biometrics application. Okay, let's move on to the next part of this lecture, where I'll show you how to do the connections between the fingerprint scanner and the Arduino, and then how to enroll fingerprints and recognize them.